Ball State SportsLink's third Down Chirp is presented by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
This is a very special game. It's the last time we seniors get to step on this field. The last time we play at home. This is the moment we have been waiting for. The last time we get to make that game-changing play. The last time to make a statement. And to prove that we are ready for one more.
There may be a bowl bid on the line for this Ball State football team, but with Senior Day this weekend in Muncie, Indiana, there's still something that this Ball State football team is fighting for, and it's just as important, and that is pride. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Third Down Chirp, delivered by Papa John's. I'm your host, Luke Martin, alongside Tyler, Bradfield, Connor Onion. Guys, looking back to the game last week against the Massachusetts Minutemen, seems like the same story for this Ball State football team, something we've talked about a lot on this show this year.
It seemed as though a few of those storylines, like you just said, had kind of gone away, but now they resurfaced against Northern Illinois and then the Minutemen. Now, Eastern Michigan Saturday, you fight for pride.
Well, the defense played well in stretches of the game against UMass, but when you scored 10 points offensively, you're not going to win many football games.
When we look back at that 24-10 contest in Amherst, Massachusetts, some of the things that stood out to you, Tyler, were what?
Well, look on the left side of that graphic. Juwan Edwards' numbers, 36 yards, 16 carries. That's 2 yards per carry. The Minutemen were giving up 4 yards per carry entering in against Ball State.
A guy that doesn't show up in this graphic, Kevon Maybon, in the first half, 5 receptions for 62 yards, but he went down with a knee injury shortly before halftime. The Cardinals missed him in the second half, as he's a guy that can stretch the field for the Cardinals. He was absent in half number 2.
Coach Limbo caught up with the media earlier this week to share his thoughts on the result from Massachusetts.
You can say it was a close game, but I don't know if it was a winnable game because of the turnovers and the miscues. And, you know, to win close games, you have to have less mistakes and less glaring mistakes than your opponent. And when you're ending drives without a punt or a kick, it's really, really hard to win those close games, and we've seen that happen 2 weeks in a row now. Our defensive kids really battled, and when you looked at the game, and it had this feel to it on the field as well. I felt like we were playing really hard up front. I thought our defensive line was penetrating, getting probably as good of a pass rush as we had gotten all year. We had the 3 sacks. We had 8 tackles for loss in the game. So we were able to do enough things to put UMass off schedule. We had a good practice on Sunday. We went out there and it was a winter wonderland, and conditions were not ideal, but we had a really good day. We got some really good work done. You know, the kids' morale continues to be very good. Not that I would expect any less. But I think the moral to the story and one of the common themes for this year is it's not just about playing hard, but it's about playing smart, and it's about practicing smart, and it's about making good decisions in the games, and you know, we haven't been consistent with that.
I will have to say, guys, got to agree with Coach Limbo. It has been a winter wonderland here in Muncie
Sure has
recently this week. Let's go back through that UMass game with our opening drive. Tyler, what was the main storyline you kind of take away from that game last week?
Well, taken away from that game, it's a night game. It's the turnover margin and the forced turnovers in that game. Early on, they did force a handful of turnovers, but you absolutely, in Ball State's case, have to win the turnover battle. When they don't win the turnover battle this year, they're 0-5 winless, -2 on turnover margin. And now Eastern Michigan try to get back on track with that.
Well, with the loss, the Cardinals are no longer bowl eligible. They can't get to that 6th win that would make them eligible, so now it's time to play for pride. You have 2 games left. You have Senior Day on Saturday to celebrate the senior class. In their 4 years here, 28-19. They've been to 2 bowl games, the GoDaddy Bowl last year, the Beef O'Brady Bowl 2 seasons ago, so they have left their mark, but now it's just time to finish on a high note.
Connor, you mentioned it earlier in the show, and Coach Limbo moments ago. What an effort by this Ball State defense against UMass. This was an offensive team that put up 35 or more points multiple times this year. They only scored under 35 twice heading in to that Ball State football game. 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, and not to mention Aaron Taylor gone, Brian Jones gone, Eric Patterson, Ben Engel, Blake Dewitt, Bruce Heggie. The list goes on and on. This defense is really a bare bones defense for Ball State right now. They are into your guys is 2 deep for the radio broadcast. Man, it may need to be a 5 deep with as many injuries that Ball State has had on that defensive side of the football. But nonetheless, you heard Coach Limbo say they kept UMass off schedule. There was plenty of times that the Ball State offense, they could have got some points. And if you hold UMass to 24 points, odds are you probably should have won the game. And I know Coach Limbo and that coaching staff knows that and wishes they could have pulled out the victory. Well, just talked about the defensive success. Offense, they've been struggling the past couple of weeks, and maybe now Tyler Bradfield can help out those offensive struggles, because I think he's going to be Reggie Wayne after he gets this coaching tip from Keith Gaither in our Third Down Chirp coaching segment.
We continue our Third Down Chirp coaching segments, this time with wide receiver coach Keith Gaither. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time. It's great to have you. Today, you're going to teach us the importance of block progression as a receiver. One, before we get into the technical drill, how important is blocking as a wide receiver?
Very important. You know, it helps with the passing game. It helps with the running game. So it's important as a receiver. You got to be able to block, and you got to be able to be a good route runner. So it all goes hand in hand. Tyler, all I want to see you do is sprint half the distance to him, and then start tempoing up to him. Okay? Once you come to battle, get a wider base. Okay? You want to try to get your knees inside your feet. All right? When I talk about posture, I talk about big chest. So if your chest is up, Tyler, what else is up? Your head will be up.
Right.
If your chest is down, your head's going to be down. So you want to be able to see what you're hitting.
Okay.
Okay, so let's try that. Say, hit. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, not bad for the first time for Tyler, okay? To train our receivers to play with tight hands and tight elbows, what we'll do here, Tyler, come up a little bit, about 5 yards. All I want you to do, I'm basically saying this, you already broke down. So all I'm trying to do is train my guys to be in the blocking position with tight hands, tight elbows. So I just want you to roll meatballs. We call it rolling meatballs. Tempo up to them. Go to get an even stance. Go and get even. You already broke down. Get an even stance.
Okay.
All right. Wide knees inside your feet. Chest up. Great posture. Set. Hit. Keep tempo up to them. Good. 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 Keep going. Keep going. Good. Nice. So those are first thing. If you're going up to block somebody, if you got wide hands, he's gonna hit you. You want to be the hitter. Okay. So that's the second thing we talk about a lot. A great posture, keeping the defender in front of him. All right, the last thing we'll talk about is how to block. Y'all got all the footwork, so let's talk about how to block. First thing I'm coming to block you, we don't want to be reaching. All right, so we're gonna talk about strike timing. All right, you don't want to strike a person until you can step on his toes or smell his breath. All right, so what I'm gonna do, this is your good buddy, all right? I want you to hold this ball. All right, I want you to brace it. Brace for contact. Now squat down a little bit. All right, come on up here. I'm gonna get you about 2 yards in front of him. Okay. All right, how many steps, Tyler, would you take before you hit him?
Probably 1.
All right, he say 1, I'm gonna say 20 steps.
That's gospel.
Exactly, because if you take 1 step, you'll get caught off 1 foot. So we will always have your feet on the ground. All right, so we talk about strike timing. So tight hands, great posture, chest up, butt down. Good anchor there, I like it. Lower hands, striking on the rise, right? Set, hit. Not bad, good. Hey, not bad. You gotta give him, let me hold the ball, let me do it.
He's trying to set a volleyball.
You ready? Come on. And once you strike, step on his toes.
Stay
Beautiful.
up. Okay.
Perfect. Set, hit. Not bad. Oh, man. All right. So those are some basic things we talk about all the time. All right, but number one, you got to keep the defender in front of you. All right. Number two, you got to know where the ball's going to hit, so you got to understand leverage. All right, and you got to have great posture. You can't be chest down. You can't be leaning. And you don't want to be a lunger. All right, and then you got the last point. You got to know how to strike. Okay. Thank you for taking the time to spend with me.
Yeah,
hey,
no problem. Third down chirp crew. We can now block as a wide receiver, Coach. Thanks so much.
Can anybody say Reggie Wayne, folks? I'm telling ya, I think Tyler's got something going on.
I don't know about that. Not anywhere close.
I think you could say Jenna Spatafora. It almost looked like he was trying to set a volleyball when he was blocking me.
But you knocked Coach Gaither almost down,
Yeah.
but Mr. Macho Man.
Well,
here.
notice the tight grip he had right here, and if you watch the camera, he shakes his hand as he
come on.
walks
Somebody
away.
give me some ibuprofen. It was cold out that day, and that did not feel good when he tried to set my forearm.
Well, at least you guys know how to block now. So when you're watching the game on Saturday, you're getting those little tidbits that we didn't have before. So thank you so much to Coach Keith Gaither. That was a lot of fun going out there to the Schubert Stadium and doing that piece for all of you at home. But guys, it's hard for this to believe, but this is our final studio show of the year, which means we got to go through our top 5 plays of the Ball State football season. You guys ready to go? I'm excited to look at these top 5 plays. Let's get it started with number 5. Tyler, lead us off.
Top 5 plays. Leading off at number 5 is Tyree Holder against Akron. The first pick of Tyree Holder's game this season as he picks it off and returns it down the far sidelines. Tyree Holder in at number 5 for the Cardinals to start off the top 5.
Well, number 4, once we see the second angle of Tyree Holder here scampering down the sideline, he was forced out at the 2-yard line. Now we get into number 4. It's a combination of 2 guys, Jack Milas and Kevon Maybon. The ball hits Milas in the chest, and he pulls his best Johnny Manziel, gets outside the pocket, and gives it to Kevon Maybon, pulls a spinorama, and then takes it to the crib for a tutty.
How about that play? Jack Milas showcasing early in his career. What a touchdown throw. Let's go to numero tres. Joanne Edwards against the Army Black Knights. Ball State trailing 7-0 until a nice spin move and another Jimmy by Joanne. And look at him go all the way to the end zone. 56 yards to the house. Made it 7-7, 12 carries for 142 yards, 2 scores against the Black Knights. There's one of them right there, but
so
unfortunately,
you put the team on your back.
Unfortunately
Marshawn
for Ball
Lynch.
State, though, they could not pull out the win in a very wet day out there in West Point.
Juwan Edwards at 3 at number 2. We go back to week 2 against the Iowa Hawkeyes. It's Aaron Taylor with the hit. Look at the hit again.
Look at that hair.
The hit's nice, but the hair's even better.
The celebration, I think that deserves a 10 as well. He got the crowd pumped. It was a gold out that day out at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa, and he silenced the crowd with that hit. But here is the number 1 play of the year. It's Scott Secor as he got the Ball State Cardinals off the schneid. They had lost 5 straight games coming in, and from 55 yards,
what a kick.
He won the football game for the Cardinals, and Tyler lost his voice in that game. He was so excited. So
I was pretty excited too.
That just goes to show you how great of a kick it was and how exciting of a moment it was.
I think everybody was excited. Those were our top 5 plays of the Ball State football season. Now, you know what? I know the message boards are going to blow up and argue with what play should have been on there. I'm going to be the first to say, I think Bradfield's block on Onion should have been in there, getting around with that spin move.
Not even a pancake, though. Not even a pancake.
Not even a pancake, though.
We
But it should be a lot of fun. Well, now it's time to switch gears to the game this weekend. The crew from Ypsilanti, Michigan, Eastern Michigan comes to town, and let's take a look across the field at head coach Chris Creighton's club as he talked earlier this week with the media about his Eagles' effort in each game this season.
You know, it's, and we've kind of had this message before too. It's just, who are we as men? We're not going to tuck tail and run. We're going to regroup and play. I just talked about playing hard and competing, and Coach Mack did a great job. Just heard him talking to the guys about it's not, everything that's happened is irrelevant at this point. You know, our guys were playing and there was effort and whatnot, but there are more levels of competitive anger, you know, that we need to get to.
Let's get more on the game this weekend with the Eastern Michigan Eagles by welcoming in the voice of the Eastern Michigan Eagles, Matt Shepard, for our Behind the Mic segment here. Man, behind the mic. Well, Matt Shepard, let's bring you on anyways, buddy. It's great to have you here on Third Down Chirp. First and foremost, Eastern Michigan 2-8, 1-5, just like they were a year ago. But can you sense any different? Is there improvement this year in Ypsilanti?
Yeah, I do. You know, you got to look. I don't care who the coach is. In order for you to get better, you've got to have some talent. So I'm not sure that we can truly say that Chris Creighton will be able to make a difference with the talent pool until we see the kind of talent that he brings in. If you go to practices, you see how he handles it, you see how his kids are able to handle success and the disappointments, then you know that he's getting through to him and the program's growing.
Matt, what has been the biggest difference from last year under Coach English to now under Coach Creighton?
Chris Creighton's a very positive person. I mean, he's a really motivating person, but he does it through positive reinforcement. There are repercussions, but everything is positive. He reminds me a lot of Jim Caldwell, who coaches the Lions. Jim Caldwell feels the same way. There's not a lot of negativity in their messages. There's not a lot of vulgarity in their messages. They've taken that kind of stuff out, and they've decided to be a little bit more of a PMA, a positive mental attitude approach.
Matt, Eastern Michigan comes in with a redshirt freshman quarterback in Reggie Bell. With the redshirt freshman, of course, you're going to expect some ups, and then you're going to expect some downs. But how high is the ceiling for Reggie Bell?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, here's a guy who's a redshirt freshman out of Los Angeles and was a pretty good player at the high school level, but was seen more as a track star. He has a higher ceiling. He's got to get stronger, I think. He's got to get a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger, and obviously every freshman needs to do the things that, you see a lot of guys be able to progress with, and that is go through their progressions, find that open man quicker, make those decisions quicker, audible better at the line of scrimmage and things like that. It's going to come, but at least Eastern Michigan feels like they've got their guy in place. And finally, Matt, a key to the game this weekend for the Eagles? In the first half, I'll tell you that. I mean, Eastern Michigan this year has surrendered about 250 points in the first half and only scored 54. So they're playing catch-up the entire game. They played at Western Michigan last week, fellas, and the Broncos scored on their first 8 possessions. Their first 7 possessions were touchdowns. That cannot happen if you hope to have any chance of success, especially on the road in this conference. Matt, we appreciate you taking the time and look forward to seeing you this weekend in Muncie, Indiana. I can't wait to see Matt Shepard in the booth. That's always great, seeing those voices of the Mid-American Conference up on the game this weekend. Well, we've heard Eastern Michigan side of things. Let's hear from the Ball State side with our Third Down Chirp Scouting Report.
These guys are playing really hard, and I think they've really bought into the system and the culture with this new staff. I'm really impressed with Chris Creighton and his group and his philosophy. He's a really, really impressive guy. You know, what I will say is that they've been very competitive this year. They've had a tough out-of-conference schedule. You know, you play Michigan State and Florida, and that's going to skew statistics.
They're a physical bunch up front. They like to line up and, our formation and run the ball. That's something that we see sometimes. It's gonna be a physical game. It's gonna be a dog. They always play us hard, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a dog fight. The quarterback's really elusive. He can run. Running quarterback's always a hassle because they naturally get the ball in space and then they're able to make plays. So we've got to do a good job of containing the quarterback.
They're gonna play hard. It's a lot of one-on-one matchups, and they give us a chance to make big plays, and we're gonna try and take them.
They have a lot of formations. Their quarterback is an excellent runner. He's made some big plays, in the run game. So he's a guy we have to defend, other than the back and receivers, et cetera. So we got to defend, the quarterback as well.
Well, we got to do a great job with our technique, right? And it starts with identification and seeing shells and spins and the tips they give us, making sure we're communicating as an offense to give us the advantage back with how downhill they're going to play. I'll be honest with you, when we hit the field again on Sunday, it was snowing out there, and we had great energy, and kids came back ready to work and know that we got a lot of work to do, but we're looking forward to Eastern Michigan.
It is senior day this weekend in Muncie, which means it's our last opportunity. This is our last studio show, which means we need the biggest 3 facts of the season. So who should we bring on for that?
I guess it's got to be T. Fizzle.
I agree. It's going to be Torey Fox. Torey, we're excited to hear what you have for us, buddy.
I'm a man of many names. T. Fizzle, all right. So the bar has been set. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Big Three. In football, as in life, you can't beat yourself if you expect to win. Well, luckily, Ball State hasn't, because the Cardinals rank first in the Mid-American Conference in 4 different penalty categories, including fewest penalties overall with 42, and fewest penalties per game with just 4.2. Those figures are good for not only first in the Mid-American Conference, but 8th overall in FBS football ahead of schools like Mississippi State, Alabama, and Notre Dame. Second, Eastern Michigan has been known to throw a block party or 2 this season, as the Eagles have blocked 6 kicks in 10 games this season. Sophomore defensive lineman Mike Steele has blocked 1/3 of those kicks and has helped the Eagles tie Northwestern for the most blocked kicks this season in the NCAA. Well, last but certainly not least, Ball State will be honoring the football class of 2014 on Saturday. As you heard earlier, these Cardinals have helped Ball State to a 28-20 overall record in the past 4 years, including 2 bowl game appearances and 4 wins over teams from the Power 5 Conference, 2 of those over Indiana University, in case you had forgotten 2 of them. Also, the senior class trying to beat Eastern Michigan for the 4th time in their careers, so a lot to play for the seniors on Saturday.
I got to tell you, those are 3 great facts. Torey Fox, you did it all year long. Applaud Torey Fox. He always does a great job.
He never disappoints.
He never disappoints here on Third Down Chirp. All right, let's go through our X factors for the senior day game at Schumann Stadium. Who's the Cardinal? You are watching Tyler Bradfield.
Well, it's one Cardinal, but it's also a unit. It's the secondary because of how short-handed they are with injuries. To start the year, week 1 against Colgate, take the 4 starters. They're all gone against Eastern Michigan now for the final game. Therefore, my X factor is Tyree Holder. Tyree Holder, 2 picks on the year. Eastern's had their struggles throwing the football through the air, must capitalize on it.
I'm looking at Nick Miles. Eastern Michigan's offensive line, they've allowed 30 sacks this season. That's 2nd worst in the Mid-American Conference, and Nick Miles played really, really well against UMass a week ago. He had a sack. He was taking on double teams, triple teams at some points, and he's been targeted this season by opposing offenses because he is the only returning starter from a season ago, but he's still 2nd on the defensive line in tackles next to Michael Ayers. 46th career game on Saturday as he celebrates senior day. He needs to get some pressure on the quarterback, Reggie Bell of Eastern Michigan, and the Cardinals should have a good chance of winning the football game.
I'm going to go with another senior for my X factor, Juwan Edwards. What a career he has had at Ball State. I can go through all the statistics. You know them. He is going to be leaving this school as the all-time leading rusher. And Juwan, 36 yards of rushing last week against UMass. That is the lowest in his career since Central Michigan in 2011 when he had 28 yards rushing in that game. He has 7 rushing touchdowns against Eastern Michigan in his career. Last time at the Shoe when they played Eastern Michigan, he had 200 yards on the ground. That was the season opener in 2012. And you know, after last week, I mentioned those numbers, guys, how Juwan really did not have a great game a week ago. You think he's going to be a little hungry for a little redemption this weekend against Eastern Michigan? I think so as well. So this should be a great game at Schumann Stadium. Senior day in Muncie, Indiana. What a season it has been for Ball State. And for us here at Third Down Chirp, you know, for our show, this is our last studio show of the year. For you folks watching us on TV of Fox College Sports and WIPB here in Muncie, Indiana, we want to send a huge thank you out to Joe Hernandez, Paula Hahn, and Tyson Matthews, the Ball State Athletic Department, the sports information directors. Without them, we can't have content on this show. So Joe, Paula, Tyson, thank you all so much from the Third Down Chirp crew all year long. But they couldn't do it without having a great coaching staff and football program. To head coach Pete Limbo, the whole coaching staff, and most importantly, the players, thank you for allowing us behind the scenes all year long, whether it was a win or a loss. And no doubt we would have loved to talk about more wins on Third Down Chirp this year, but when you work with our production team like Alex Seitz, Drew Adamson behind the scenes, our faculty advisors, Chris Taylor, Alex Cartman, Brad Daly, to the talent team of Torey Fox, Tyler Bradfield, and Connor Onion, you never lose. You always win each and every week. So that's going to do it for Third Down Chirp this season. Be sure to follow Ball State Sports Link on all social media accounts. Just search BSU Sports Link. So until next fall, remember we do have a web show, so watch us on the web. Look us up on YouTube. But for those folks on Fox College Sports and WIPB, thanks so much for watching us all season long, and forever and always, chirp, chirp, go Cardinals.